Heyo everybody, Haku here with my live reaction for One Piece chapter 1088. We're going to be playing bingo with it, as is the sort of usual new way I'm doing things, or I guess you can't even call it new anymore. But I think that's a really fun extra twist to add on to it, while I get to read through and get to discuss while I'm reading through, because there's so much to talk about with One Piece right now, and I'm really excited to talk about a lot of it. So I'll probably do a lot of discussion at the end after I react. I'll try to keep most of what I want to say to the end, unless it's something that I'm like, oh, I need to put it at the beginning in case it happens this chapter. So yeah, I guess that's good. And also, reminder here at the beginning that I'm posting this on Thursday for patrons and channel members, and then when the official translation comes out, it'll be up publicly for everyone. So if you want it early, you can become a patron or channel member. I have already been spoiled that we have a break next week, though. Not like the contents of the chapter, but that we have a break next week, like the schedule. We have a break next week, and then we get one chapter, and then Jump is on a break. I guess maybe, would it be Obon? I forget what holiday in Japan is around this time. But there's going to be a Jump break, so we're getting nothing, then a chapter, then nothing again, which is frustrating after such a long break. I guess the only things I wanted to say beforehand, since the big thing that we left off on was the big island-size hand coming down at the ship, is who could potentially stop it if a new character is coming into the situation. I know I mentioned Bogard memes. The Bogard memes have been great. Could potentially, I don't think Bogart's the most likely. Bogart's kind of just been a meme background character, except for like the Kobe Meppo flashback cover story. The Kobe Meppo stuff, we actually see Bogart seemingly important with training them, and like there's a scene of cutting up the guns Kobe's holding and stuff. So it makes it seem like he's an actual important person, but then the rest of the series just been background nobody. So who knows? But I think the most likely to jump in and involve themselves in this situation would be Moria. It's weird that Perona went to free Moria, but we haven't seen Moria doing anything yet. I think that's odd. And also there's the fact that ever since the sort of dissolution of the Shichibukai, all of the former warlords have been given like higher bounties than Yonko commanders. They've been presented as above Yonko commanders. So to me, I'm like, okay, I think Moria gets underrated a lot in general, but I'm like, okay, Moria, former Shichibukai, they've generally been presented as above Yonko commander, and with the exception of Kuzan, who's a bit different, being a former admiral, the only other people there, Blackbeard himself isn't there, are just a couple Yonko commanders. So I feel like Moria could be helpful in the situation if Moria does decide to help in the situation, which I guess Moria doesn't have to, since like, why work with the Marines unless it's like a mutually beneficial, I just need to escape thing. I just think it's weird that we haven't seen any more of them since we've been back to Hachinosu, but I also think maybe if we don't see them, they'll probably just end up with Cross Guild at some point. I feel like that is likely for Moria and Perona. I just feel like they'll be another one of those former characters that end up lumped into Cross Guild. Yeah, and I guess, is that all I wanted to say? I think, oh, there was one more thing. I don't plan to see Smoker here. I saw a bunch of people saying Smoker. We do have Tashigi here, so I find that interesting. I'll talk about that at the end of the video, though, if I don't forget. I think if we see Smoker, the next time we see Smoker, of course, he's going to be on Egghead. We had, at the very beginning of this, when we first saw, like, Sword preparing to go or whatever, they were like, Smoker's already gone to Egghead. So before all of this, Smoker's already heading to Egghead. We don't know if he's with the giant group of Marines that are going there, like with Kizaru and St. J. Garcia Saturn or anything, but Smoker's already going to Egghead, so Smoker's going to be involved in the Egghead incident. I think the next time we see Smoker, Smoker could get one of the Zodiac epithets, though. And what I mean by that is, like, we've seen, pirates have their epithets. We've seen, like, a bunch of Marines have them, like it was White Chase Smoker, or Hina has one that I don't remember. But the most powerful, or at least seemingly most powerful Marines have ones that are a color and an animal of the zodiac, with Aokuji's being a little bit of a stretch, but that's because the original three admirals are a reference to like the pheasant, the dog, and the monkey in like the story of Momotaro or Journey to the West or whatever it is. So we get introduced to them, and they have epithets before their names that are like Kizaru Borsalino, we have Akainu Sakazuki, and Aokiji Kuzan, which are blue pheasant, and pheasant, I guess, is just taking the place of rooster in the zodiac, red dog, and yellow monkey. But then, post-time skip, when things have shifted a bit, we get two new admirals. These two new admirals are introduced as Fujitora Isho and Ryokugyu Aramaki. And so that's Green Bull Aramaki and Purple Tiger Isho. Then we get, I think it's sometime during like one of the Wano between like act breaks, we get two of the admiral candidates, and the admiral candidates are introduced as Momo Usagi Gion and Chaton Tokikage. So Brown Pig Tokikage and Peach Rabbit, or I've seen some people translate it as Pink Rabbit, Gion. And then after Wano, in the post-Wano stuff, we get the head of like criminal investigations of the like the Navy's head of criminal investigations. I forget exactly what the title is, and he's Kuroma Tensei, so Black Horse Tensei. So there are still 4 more like of the top Marines that we don't know about yet, and I feel like Smoker could end up getting one of those epithets next time we see him, because he's been called Hakuryo Smoker, which is like White Hunter Smoker. And all you would barely have to change it to be Hakuryu Smoker or White Dragon Smoker. Or he could be like, he already has an attack called White Snake, he could just be Shirohebi Smoker or White Snake Smoker. So I feel like Smoker could get one of those last 4 like strongest marine zodiac epithets. But even if he doesn't, I guess that means, like I said, we still have 4 really powerful marines that we haven't even got introduced to yet. But with that long intro out of the way, I wanted to keep it not long, but I wanted to bring up both of those things in case they happened in this chapter. Let's go over the bingo board, and then we'll get into reading. So for the bingo board this week, every week I'll take out 5 of the old things and put in 5 new things. That's what I did from last week. So we have Someone Gets Turned to Stone, again, between Real Hancock and between S. Snake, this decent chance. Again, this is kind of split back and forth because I didn't know if we're going to continue with the Hachinosu stuff. Like, I don't know if we're continuing with the Hachinosu stuff and finishing that out, or if we're cutting away and leaving, we're not going to see that for forever until the end of the arc, and we're going back to Egghead, so it's kind of split between those things. Named Attack, I feel like having something easy like that is good. Law/Beppo if we happen to see him. Kuma not in a flashback, because we have stuff going on with Kuma and the Bonnie flashbacks. Carrot and or Zunisha, it's 1088, but my hopes aren't high. Kobe actually uses Haki, because a lot of people were laughing last chapter where they're like, why didn't he just use observation to see Shiryu unless it like hides him from observation? Which, I mean, if it didn't hide him from observation, I guess the Devil Fruit would be kind of useless. An admiral other than Kuzan. Kuzan doesn't count. Sword, I feel like, again, that's just something that if we go back to Hachinosu is an easy one. A new cover story, feels like we should get one sometime. Where in the fuck is Caribou? The Revolutionaries coming to Egghead, I brought that up last time. Perona and or Moria, because I feel like we haven't seen them. Free Space, we can go ahead and click. The Cross Guild, and I'll count like any of like the main members of Cross Guild for this. Any of the 10 Titanic captains, Bogard, A Bounty Reveal, Vivi Wapol and Morgans, Egghead Butt Fan Service, Smoker, the Strike Grand Fleet, New Mads, Kuma in a flashback, the Seraphim, or the Gorosei. So yeah, any of those. So that's our bingo board for this week. Let's actually get into reading then. So we're starting off, we have the weekly Jump cover with the live action actor and Luffy. Okay, neat. Then going down. Also, forgot to mention at the beginning, I typically read TCB scans, but there are people who seemingly have like already started making videos before I even read, so I'm like, okay, is there an earlier scan that I should be reading instead? I kind of like this translation, that's why I read this one. But it came out like super late last night, Wednesday for me, so it's like I have to record it on Thursday. So I don't know. Don't know exactly what I'm doing. If somebody had high quality RAWs, I could just read it in Japanese and translate for you all as I read. But either way, we have like the original 5. We have a color spread with the original 5 and their East Blue designs. Zoro with that shirt and like the bandages and everything. Nami's hair looks like weirdly long though for her pre-time skip self. And we have like the villains plus Kobe, Garp, so some not villains, Shanks, in the background there. I can't tell if at the top, I think that's Don Krieg because of the sideburns. Yeah, it looks like Don Krieg, so no smoker. We got Garp and Shanks and Kobe and stuff. No smoker though. But yeah, okay, we're starting. Former Navy HQ. Lesson 1. A baby and an old man. It's chapter 1088, the final lesson. Okay, so this is potentially Garp death. I didn't want to put something as specific as that on the bingo board, though. A baby and an old man are stranded on an island full of fierce beasts. You're on a boat that can hold a maximum of 2. What do? I mean, you can hold the baby. I mean, the baby doesn't take up that much space. Chapter 1088, the final lesson. I'd get off the boat myself. That way, both of the victims can use it to get to safe, and then he gets hit in the head. You dunce, that's wrong, and Garp's the one teaching. Huh? You should abandon the half-dead geezer. Vice Admiral, what are you saying? And there's seemingly another Navy person. Why the hell did you become Marines? And it looks like Gru in the background and Kobe's original design before the glow-up. To safeguard the future, right? Well, you should keep that in mind, because you all have more ahead of you than some old fossil. Take the baby and live on. Don't ever give a lecture like that again. All lives are equal, but the potential of youth is limitless. Okay, so the person bonking him is like a high-ranking Navy person that I don't feel like we've seen. A few weeks ago, at Amazon Lily, we're saying Amazon Lily? The Isle of Women, but it's a few weeks ago. This is unbearable. This is unbearable, Vice Admiral. Even if he's an emperor, are we meant to sit back and watch while he takes our fellow officers just because we don't have permission to engage? Alright. Help. Who knows what they'll do to us back on the pirate island? And I was trying to see if that was Kuzan in the background with Garp there when he's getting yelled at, but you can't really tell. What do you want, hero? And we have Kobe facing... So this is, I guess, how Kobe gets captured. Kobe facing off with Blackbeard. You ready to start an all-out war? Captain Kobe, and we see... I forget his name, this dude. We see somebody whispering, he's with sword. If I take their places, would you be willing to release the battleship and all 800 of the Marines you've captured? Captain Kobe, and they're all crying. You do that? Zay, ha ha ha. You think a lot of yourself, don't ya? And jumping back to the board, we got a couple here. We don't have somebody getting turned to stone. When we went to Amazon Lily, I was like, maybe. We don't see an Admiral. Kuzan doesn't count. We do have Sword. No new cover story. We do see 10 Titanic captains. You got Vasco shot there. You got, what's Katarina Devon there. We don't see any Crossguild, right? No Perona or Moria. None of this other stuff. Sorry, just glancing through quickly. No Gorosei. No Seraphim, which I feel like we could have seen there as well. But let's get back to reading the chapter. Yeah, I don't see any of the Seraphim there with Kobe. And then, present day, near Hachinosu, the pirate island. What? That hand just came out of the island. And we have the Marines freaking out. Our cannon fire's ineffective. We didn't even make a scratch. It's no use, we can't stop it. And I love the eyes in Hachinosu, like, with Avalo, like, looking around, the eyes look so cool in the Hachinosu skull. Prepare to abandon ship, and we get, again, Tashiki's an odd one. Hurry, get everyone above deck. We must protect the civilians, unless she's Sword, and I'm just forgetting it, but I don't think she is. Yes, ma'am. What power, says Kujaku. Meanwhile, on Pirate Island, hundreds of Marines and civilians will die if that hand gets the ship. Vice Admiral, what do we do? And we see, I think that's Kobe just holding his head while we have Gru still fighting with that very similar to Ulti's little mace thing. And you got, is that Peachbeard or some random like really piratey looking guy squaring off with Helmeppo? Don't worry, you guys. Don't worry, you guys got this. What? I'll get ready. I'll give you an opening. Captain Kobe, you're gonna go for that island monster's hand, and you're gonna smash it to bits. So Kobe breaks the hand? What? That's way too big for me. Rear Admiral Gru, your job's to protect the ship from any falling debris, and make sure no one gets in their way. Lieutenant Commander Helmeppo, he's like dropping all of their actual ranks. I don't know if any gets cut off. Never second guess yourself in the heat of the moment. Now go. Yes, sir. And the three of them take... Oh, that's a really cool panel. I love the panel of the three of them taking off and leaving the, like, little silhouette marks behind. Hey, Kobe's group is on the move. Who cares? They're helpless without Garp. They may call him a hero, but he's basically nothing but a glorified raw cadet. Let's pluck 'em like scraps of seaweed. And then we have Gru talking to Kobe. This is a really good panel too. I love the art this chapter. You packing any explosives to destroy that thing, Kobe? Afraid not. I'll just have to figure something out. Figure something out? The thing's big enough to crush a battleship in its palm. You ain't getting away, Kobe. Yeah, they saw us. Make sure no one gets in their way. Just need to buy time. Wow, and Helmeppo tanks the explosive for them. Helmeppo-san, don't look back, Kobe. Garp-san, where exactly do you think you're going? And we have Kuzan back up again with a wound like that. This is just a scratch. Oh, and here I was worrying. That just proves you're still here I was worrying. That just proves you're still soft. And he gets blitzed. We have shocked Kuzan face. He just gets battered. Like I said last chapter, Garp is him. We have all the pirates freaking out. Whoa, Kuzan-san! Yeah? And we have a reaction from the skull face. And that's nuts. He's just bouncing from building to building. Blitzing him. Just crazy. Garp's coming here. We have Haki coating his hand. Wait, I can't get distracted. I've still got to crush that ship. We see Avalo's real face. Man, the art is insane. Oh my god, I just saw a panel on the other side. The art is insane this week. I love the way that Hachinosu looks like with the arms and legs. Galaxy Divide. Pugya! Insanity. No way. I love the way Hachinosu looks. Pizarro-san! And they're all freaking out. Whoa, was that really a punch? And we have his real body bleeding. So that's different than, I think I maybe saw people bring it up before. That's different than, what's his face, Pika's. Because Pika, you could damage it. He said, I'm a stone assimilation human, but he said I have the Isle fruit, I guess being an island human or whatever. Like, Pika didn't take damage from damage done to the stone because he was just inside the stone. The stone wasn't him. But in this case, the island actually is Pizarro, real Pizarro's body. Like, I don't know if this is just a visualization or if real Pizarro's body is like hiding somewhere, puppeteering this, but his real body takes damage. That must be the opening you mentioned. This is it. He's made his move. What are you gonna do, Kobe? Live up to his expectations. What a great line. Holy shit. And Kobe starts bouncing through the air. I guess, yeah, that's true. He does have the Rokshiki, so he does have Geppo. Kobe? You old dog. You think that'll stop me, Garp? Now you'll see what happens when you piss me off. And then he starts focusing all his attention toward the ship. We have Kujaku and the others reacting. Hey, Helmeppo. Kobe's been improving a lot recently. So, why does he always look so beat up? His arms are constantly bandaged. And we have, oh man, this is a Garp flashback. I love this. Look, it's Kobe. Does he seriously think he can stop that giant hand? Yeah, the twerp's heroic reputation must have gone to his head. Beat up. Oh, you mean his hands and shoulders, right? He told me not... Oh, is this like... Yeah, this is little Helmeppo. He told me not to say anything, but... Kobe's been... And we have Kobe in a flashback. Flashback in a flashback. compared to, like, that should be on the bingo board. Compared to everyone else here. Oh, we did have a named attack. Hold on. Hold on. I hate interrupting myself during, like, a moment like this and everything. But, yeah, we did have one of those. Okay, hold on. We're going back. Let me get back to the other tab. Kobe's been. Compared to everyone else here, I have 0 aptitude for combat. That means working 10 times harder won't cut it. I'll have to put in 200 times more effort. Genius of effort! Rock Lee! I've got to keep training, or I won't be able to protect anyone. If I can't do that, I'll never be a great Marine. You're telling me after my special training regime, he's sneaking off to work out more? Yes, he never misses a day. Ouch! Give it a rest already, Kobe. He spends the whole night hitting one of the battleship bags, until his fists peel and bleed. And Garp smiles. Nyahaha! Compared to my paw, you may as well be an ant. Don't get too close. Oh, this is nice. Because of how I'm reading, I can just kind of scroll down and see the top. I don't have to see the bottom yet. Don't get too close, Kobe-senpai. It's dangerous. And we have Hibari seems to, really be into the Kobe-senpai stuff lately. Nyahaha! This won't take long. Let's enjoy the dying screams of your fellow Marines, nya. Even if they try to jump overboard, Aokiji just freeze them. You guys got this. We have our third flashback to this. We gotta go. Full sail. Captain Kobe. We have to get as far as we can. There's no stopping it now. Kobe? And Gru's yelling. Yo, that's such a cool panel of Kobe. He's charging up. And I'll mark later that he's using Haki. I've got to break through. If I can't, they'll all die, and their blood would be on my hands. Honesty. Impacto. And he breaks through the entire fist. I don't know if that's like just where the mouth normally is, or if it's making it even to the mouth. And it looks like he's not even touching it. So this is at the very least, advanced armament, if not Kobe Conqueror's moment, which would make sense for Kobe, I think. Like, working harder, wanting to be a great Marine, and being willing to die for it, like we've seen since, like, the beginning of the series. Him being, like, one of the OG characters at the literal beginning of the series. Like, I could see it. And this is nuts. Like I was saying last chapter, like, Kobe's gotta have something that, like, if he's, like, his dream is to be an admiral, we've got to see, like, steps for us to be like, okay, he's believable as an admiral in the future. And, like, this is nuts. This is getting there, because I really feel like there aren't a ton of characters that we've seen that can do this. They can just bust through. And we have, what? Me, ouch! And his arm is taking damage as well. It doesn't look like it's taking that much damage, though. Pizarro-sama. And yeah, it is his actual body somewhere within, like, a room. Interesting, puppeteering this. And, like, his bottom half is fused into it. It's interesting, though, how different it is than Pika's. So Kobe does actually use Haki. I don't know if there's anything else. It looks like if we got luckier, these could have lined up. These could have worked. Yeah, it doesn't look like we have any of the others. If we got luckier, they could have lined up. We could have had ourselves a bingo. Hold on, back to the chapter. Let me make sure my recording looks okay. You know, Kobe-kun? Oh, Tashigi reaction. Kobe-senpai, you're incredible. I love Hibari here. Captain Kobe, amazing. What about all the debris? Bwah! And Garp's laughing. Kobe, that was unbelievable. Everything's held my bow. You've been hiding your true strength all this time? And then, clay, web. And we have this web of clay blocking the hand. Kobe! Helmeppo crying. He grabs him. You did it! That was seriously amazing! Helmeppo-san, I really did it. That arm was as big as a mountain and you blew it to smithereens. And the web carries all the rubble into the sea. Whoa, Prince saved us. Now we just need Vice Admiral Garp to get here so we can leave. Yeah. Thank you, Kobe. Kobe-senpai. Oh, Hibari-san. Thank goodness you're safe. Yo, Kobe Hibari? Is this like a ship? Captain Kobe, thank you so much. It's hard not to smile. It's good to... Kobe deserves this. Kobe deserves a good moment. Kobe deserves this. Proven wise hero of the Marines or whatever. This is Garp. The mission to rescue Kobe was a success. Copy that. Please make your way back as soon as possible. All troops withdraw from Hachinosu immediately. I feel like so the Blackbeard Pirates' whole deal was that they wanted to use Kobe as a bargaining chip. But I feel like saving Kobe and then Garp getting captured or killed, probably captured though, because One Piece doesn't kill people that often, and also, like, the whole purpose was to use them as a bargaining chip. I feel like this is not a success though. I mean, yeah, like Garp said, future potential and all that, but it's like you're just sort of trading one bargaining chip for another in this situation. I'll figure something out. In situations like these, the safety of you kids is always the top priority. You finally get it, right? Prince, we gotta turn around, Kobe's yelling. Our success here, and we have Gru crying, will prove to be a serious blow to pirates everywhere. So keep moving forward. And we see all of, like, the sword members. That's so cool, panel to panel. And never forget, you are all the future of the Marines. I got chills. And we see Samwon Wolf is back. We have Pizarro's angry island face. Vasco Shot and Shiryu are back. Garp is stabbed into the ground. Man, if that was a death, though, that'd be really great. And is that... I can't tell. I think that's Kuzan's face. Because of the ice. Man. Probably so sad that it came to this. Because again, I think Kuzan's working with the Blackbeard Pirates for now. But he's probably not an awful guy I kind of brought up last time. And we have Garp laughing. And then in the following day's paper, the legendary hero Vice Admiral Garp would be declared missing in action on Pirate Island after the successful rescue of the young hero Captain Kobe. So yeah, he's captured. The Blackbeard Pirates are probably going to use him as a bargaining chip to the government like they were planning to do with Kobe. However, another story would also gain the world's attention. The Egghead Incident, where Emperor Straw Hat Luffy would face a siege on the island of the future. And we see the ships are reaching... Okay, it looks like those are just the Navy ships. Our tale shifts back to the island of the future, finally! And we have break next week, but we finally get to go back to Egghead. Super sad there was no Carrot, but we get to go back to Egghead, which is big. Alright. This is exciting, and it was an excellent chapter. The flashbacks were hitting, Kobe got to have a big moment, there was emotional stuff where it's like, Sword is the future of the Marines, and I really like it because Sword is kind of like the OG Straw Hats in a way, where it's like, if you're viewing like the original 5 Straw Hats, if you're viewing like, Kobe is the Marine analog to Luffy, the Garp to Luffy's Roger. Then Helmeppo was a sword. Obviously, Helmeppo was not Zoro's equal, but Helmeppo was a swordsman there, is like, you know, the first one who was a friend to Kobe. They were a pair, just like Zoro with Luffy. Or if we're having, like, if we're counting Tashigi, then Tashigi is maybe more of Zoro's, even though she hasn't done anything, more of Zoro's analog. Prince Gru being like one of the strongest fighters and stuff, and, you know, kind of having a similar vibe to him as like a Sanji. You've got Hibari, who's a sniper, Usopp, and then Kujaku is kind of like filling out the Sword 5 to sort of be like the Nami when compared to the original 5 Straw Hats. So yeah, and if Sword gets more members thrown in, there could be more parallels to the Straw Hats there. So I find that interesting. Like, the Straw Hats are the future of the pirates, and then you have Sword here, the future of the Marines. That's really, really, really cool. Of course, Drake is still in this somewhere. We don't know what's going on with Drake. That was really, 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 really good. Again, Garp, not dead. Garp's not dead. He's just been, like, officially missing in action. He's been captured. We know what Blackbeard wanted Kobe for. Garp is the same thing, only, like, 6 times better. So, yeah, that was a really great chapter. Is there anything else? I mean, I don't think the argument matters that much, whether Kobe has conquerors or not, because he didn't touch the hand. But you can hit things without touching them using just advanced armament, like what... losing Sentomaru, like what Sentomaru could do. So it doesn't have to be conquerors, but I think conquerors would work for Kobe. Like I've mentioned before, you could make the argument that because they chose to work with the government under someone else, that the admirals could, like, none of them could have, because they chose to work for the world government, none of them could potentially have conquerors, because conquerors is maybe like a pirate thing, something that somebody fighting against the government would have. But again, if we're not saying that, somebody like Kobe, it makes sense, because we saw way back in the very beginning of the series, and I think I like this so much more because I have been rereading the series, and I'm up to Syrup Village now, so it's not too long ago in my mind that I reread all of the stuff with, like, Captain Morgan and the original Kobe stuff. Kobe was willing to sacrifice himself and die for his dream of becoming a Navy officer and everything. Kobe, like, is determined to work 100 or 200 times more than everyone else. Things like that are the qualities of a conqueror. So to me, it would make sense for Kobe to get conquerors. Like, of all the ones we have that don't make sense, like Yamato doesn't exactly make a ton of sense. Chinjiao was kind of a weird one. I guess it was to show off conquerors earlier in the New World, but Chinjiao's kind of a weird one. So there are some weird ones for conquerors, but of those weird ones, Kobe to me is, like, nowhere near as weird as some of them, like Chinjiao or Yamato, or I think there's probably another one that's a weird choice to have conquerors. Kid even, I think, is kind of a weird choice, just given how little he's done in the narrative. Yeah, it's so weird compared to how much focus and how much stuff that Law has done, how little has been done with Kid. Like, we haven't even had, like, a good flashback or anything. It's very weird. So I mentioned Smoker earlier. I feel like I've talked about everything on the Hachinosu side of things. I'm excited to go back into Egghead. I think that, as for Egghead, I think later, I mentioned last week, my theory for how it ends, the Straw Hats end up, like, because we're on, like, this technologically advanced island, and because eventually we know Enel's going to come back into everything because all the other villains have. So it'd be weird if he was the one who didn't. Plus, there's been so much set up ahead of time for the moon. I think we'll get to the moon eventually. Why not do it after the technologically advanced island, where Frankie or somebody can just whip up, like, some sort of rocket ship parts to launch the Sunny up to the moon in order to escape this massive, massive fleet of Marines. So I think that's the way it ends. We end up, like, getting to go up to the moon. Who knows if any of the Vegapunks come with us, if any of the CP0 members come with us. I think that toward the end of this, we could very easily see the revolutionaries show up to help fight against this fleet, because Shaka called Dragon. The flashbacks with Sabo and stuff seemed like it might have been a little in the past compared to how the Hachinosu stuff seems to be happening at the same time. The Winter Island stuff, the Elbaf stuff seems to be happening at the same time, timeline-wise. But the Sabo stuff could have been a little further back since it was, like, a little after the Reverie. We could see the revolutionaries show up, and, like, characters like Vegapunk could go with them. Bonnie, I think, makes a lot of sense to go with them. I think Smoker could end up with the Straw Hats. Maybe not joining the Straw Hats, but at least as an ally. And I think right now, like, I think Carrot and Smoker are the most likely characters to show up to help the Straw Hats here, other than the revolutionaries. And I also think Carrot and Smoker are the most likely people, if there is a 10th Straw Hat, which I think there's going to be at least a 10th, if not 2 more, to make, like, 12, the 12 disciples sort of thing. 12's been used a lot in the series. I think Carrot and Smoker are the most likely, because the way I look at it is, how much of a push does a character need to join? Carrot already has everything that all the other Straw Hats, like, have. It would make sense for her to be a lookout, so there's a role. It would make sense for her to follow Pedro's will. There's inherited will. It would make sense for her to want to bring the dawn of the world. There's a dream. Or to see Pedro's will to the end is a dream in itself. Like, Carrot has everything just needs the tiniest little push as a character. That's why I think Carrot is so likely compared to so many others. Plus, there's the fact that all these other characters in Wano got conclusions to what was going on, but Carrot weirdly had no conclusion. Plus, Carrot could be stowing away in Caribou. We haven't seen Caribou in a long time, but Caribou's here. So why have Caribou here? Why have us not see him for a long time? Caribou's got to do something eventually, right? Heck, Caribou was even important in Wano. So yeah, I feel like she could have stowed away there. And Smoker, I think, absolutely, if Smoker does not join the Straw Hats, it would be easy to just give a flashback. We know Smoker had this sort of connection with Roger and his execution and everything. We know that throughout the series, we've seen Smoker again and again becoming closer to Luffy, and I think that's the issue here. I've seen a bunch of people like, oh, it wouldn't make sense for Smoker, and I think it wouldn't make sense for Smoker to not flip sides at this point, at Egghead, just because of the specific situation. Or people are like, oh, it would make more sense for Kobe to be the Marine that jumps over than Smoker. And of course, Smoker would fill a role in the crew, being a Marine that switched sides, which we don't have yet, and being a Logia, which we don't have yet. But the thing with Smoker and the thing with Kobe that's different is the situation, the opportunity for Oda to do it. So the thing with Kobe is, at what point is Kobe going to be in a position where he has to switch sides? Like, he's never going to be under that pressure. I think eventually he's going to team with Luffy, similar to the Luffy Law versus Doflamingo stuff. I think we'll get Luffy Kobe versus Blackbeard, and then eventually it'll, Luffy's the main character. It'll devolve into Luffy being the one to finish him off. But I think Luffy Kobe versus Blackbeard, especially after this stuff happening with Hachinosu, just makes sense to me, in a similar way to Luffy Law versus Doflamingo. So there is that aspect of it. But Kobe's not in a situation where he's going to have to choose. But Smoker is, right here on Egghead. Smoker is going to be a part of the Egghead incident. We know from the beginning of the arc, he was headed to Egghead. So while Kobe's not going to be in that situation, Smoker is going to be in that situation right now. Smoker's going to have to make a choice right now. After everything we've seen between him and Kizaru throughout the course of the series, which is nothing, and everything we've seen with him and the Straw Hats, and him and Luffy in particular throughout the series, which has been a lot, spanning hundreds of chapters, multiple arcs, like, what choice does Smoker make here? Does he help the Straw Hats here, or does he help the Marines here? Especially seeing how corrupt the Marines were via the Punk Hazard stuff. And of course, it gets more complicated because Vegapunk was a part of that, in a way, since it was his old labs and stuff. So that's what's interesting, and that's what I think the difference is, and that's why I think even if he doesn't join the Straw Hats, Smoker might be an ally moving with the Straw Hats to the next island from here, unless he gets, captured and court-martialed by the Marines, because the thing with Smoker is that he's going to be here, and he's going to have to make a choice, and to me, as much of a, justice-oriented guy as he is, this isn't justice. To me, it just doesn't make sense for Smoker to want to stay loyal to Kizaru here, in compared to, him working with the Straw Hats here. So I think, the difference is Kobe's not being put in that situation where he has to choose Marines or Straw Hats, but Smoker is being put in that situation right here in Egghead, where he is going to have to choose between the Marines and Straw Hats. And I think if Smoker does end up joining, which again makes a ton of sense, especially if the Straw Hats were planned out from the very beginning, it makes sense that eventually Smoker is a guy that gets thrown in here. Sorry, I'm just going to take a quick jump cut to make sure my recording isn't messing up. And so, like I've been mentioning, I've been rereading the series in Japanese. I'm at Syrup Village now, and in the beginning, at the very beginning, everybody always brings up the Luffy 10 crewmates thing. So after reading it in Japanese, this is my take on it. Luffy says, and the way I would translate what he says is, it's time, he says, Sagashita, whatever, it's time to search for crewmates. I want 10. That's basically what he says, as literal as I can translate it. Sorry, I feel like my recording keeps freezing up. As literal as I can translate it, he's like, time to search for crewmates. I want 10. So if we're taking that literally, then he wants 10 exactly. But the thing is, Japanese is very, very not specific. It's not like English where we have like, I could or would or have done or will do this or that. Japanese is very like, there's no real difference between present and future tense. Like gendered pronouns are kind of like, it's not really uncommon for like women to use traditionally more male pronouns, or for men to use more gender neutral stuff, or like most of the pronouns in general are gender neutral. So it's like, and like there's no real difference a lot of the time between like plural or singular, and it's like all just up to context. So because of all that, it's not as specific a language as English. It could be I want around 10, or it could be I want 10 exactly. I think we're getting at least one more, because I don't like the idea of the 9 we're at now. If they all line up, Luffy's in the middle, and he has 5 on one side and 4 on the other, it's uneven. It's uneven. It bothers me. So I think we do get at least one more. I think Carrot, character-wise, makes the most sense, but Smoker, to me, is just like, how does Smoker not end up joining? To me, it doesn't make sense for him not to flip sides here. Even if he doesn't join, I think he'll end up as an ally. But, yeah, I guess that's where I am. Plus, I think then, if you get into the Straw Hats versus the Blackbeard Pirates matchups, like I mentioned, like, okay, if this is how things go, is Kuzan the end game opponent for Kobe? And I think actually if we do Straw Hat matchups versus I'm going to give you guys my Straw Hats versus Blackbeard Pirates matchups. To do my Straw Hats matchups, I would say, obviously Luffy, Kobe team up versus Blackbeard. Usopp versus Van Auger makes sense. Both are snipers. Same with Chopper versus Dot Q. I think as helmsman, Jimbei versus Burgess makes a ton of sense. I think that Zoro versus Shiryu is fairly obvious, being both like presented as the right-hand men, both being swordsmen. And I think another one that I am like pretty convinced of at this point, when we have this one moment where there's like the red-haired pirates and the Blackbeard pirates being compared, and we're seeing shots between like one member of each. We see the cook of the red-haired pirates, Lucky Roo, and also Lucky Roo along with Yasop and with Ben Beckman are presented as like Shanks's big 3 guys. And eventually, like, I guess you draw comparisons between them to Zoro, Usopp, and Sanji. So if Sanji and Lucky Roo have things compared to them, the one that Lucky Roo was paired against was Vasco Shot. So Vasco Shot has an alcohol fruit, uses fire. I think Vasco Shot versus Sanji, I'm pretty set on that at this point. So if we have those that I'm set on, I think Smoker versus Kuzan makes sense. Smoker's already a Vice Admiral, already has hockey and everything. And he would need to prove like how strong he is. Plus, like I said, I don't think Kuzan's really that evil. So it could just be, we get Kuzan versus Smoker, and it's not like Smoker just defeats Kuzan completely, but they fight and then Kuzan flops sides. That could totally make sense. And it would also make sense and be like a parallel. Kuzan is the high-ranking Marine that flips sides to join the Blackbeard Pirates. Smoker, the one who fights him, is the high-ranking Marine that flips sides to join the Straw Hats. I think that could make sense and make the, sort of pair-ups make even more sense. Then you get into a weird point with the other 4, where it's like, I don't know exactly if Nami fights Katarina or Lafitte, or if Brooke fights Lafitte or even Katarina, there could be some comedy there, or if Robin fights like San Juan, or even if Robin fights Kuzan and like she fights Kuzan for a bit and then Kuzan flips sides because they have a connection there. So yeah, I'm not sure about the rest of the matchups. I could give deeper thoughts, but I don't want to drag this on too extremely much longer since I've already dragged it on long enough already, and I've had issues earlier in the video with my computer. So yeah, I guess that's about it. I feel like there was one more thing I wanted to bring up, but yeah, I think Smoker is like guaranteed to be here at Egghead, and I don't see how Smoker doesn't flip sides. Even if he doesn't join the Strats, I don't see how he doesn't flip sides here. And Carrot, I think also, just because Carrot never got a conclusion, that's the big reason why. Unless the next cover story is Carrot, then the like way that we just didn't get any conclusion at all, the way she spent like 8 years basically with the Straw Hats, the way she's one of the most like panel time characters in the series, and we didn't get a goodbye whatsoever, is very odd. I think that there's a very good chance she ends up here, probably stowed away inside of Caribou. Caribou could end up going with the Blackbeard Pirates here. We still have the Blackbeard Pirates pulling up. They could take York. They could take any of the CP0 guys if they want more government hostages. They could very easily, maybe the Blackbeard Pirates assassinate a Gorosei. I don't think Saturn's dying here. A lot of people have brought that up. I don't think so. So yeah, there's a lot that could happen with the Blackbeard Pirates showing up too. Blackbeard Pirates could very much take Caribou, because Caribou is like working for somebody as is, and a lot of people think that it's Blackbeard. So it kind of makes a ton of sense for Caribou to end up going with them. And yeah, if York is like, wow, this deal with the government didn't work out, York could run off with the Blackbeard Pirates as well. That's totally reasonable. And then the Blackbeard Pirates would have a Vegapunk and all the information that comes along with that. And it'd be comedic because they have the lazy Vegapunk that they end up with. So, yeah. Either way, I'll end the video here. Hope you enjoyed it. Long discussion. This turned, like, not just from a reaction, but into a discussion. I thought I had so many good points here, though, and I hate it. I hate it because I will look at other One Piece YouTubers, and I gotta say, I don't like most of the One Piece YouTubers. Like, I'll watch and I'll be like, wow, this content is not very good. And then, like, I don't think my content's great. I really don't. But I think, wow, I have a lot better ideas than a lot of these people, but nobody watches my One Piece stuff. Nobody watches the One Piece stuff. But yeah. Either way, gonna end the video. Like if you did like it. Comment down there to tell me what you thought of this chapter, my reaction, all of my thoughts and discussion here. We can discuss more One Piece down in the comments. We can discuss stuff on Twitter if you want. If you want a link to the Discord server, ask and I'll give you a link. If you want to help support the channel and see these videos early, you can become a patron or a channel member. Or I mean, also, if you wanted to, you could do a super thanks down below. But yeah, if you want to become a patron, patreon.com/Haku of the Tubes, or a link is always in the description, or just hit join down below to become a channel member. Massive thank you to people who are patrons and channel members. Huge thank you to Chosen Regular Evan Holly, Magical Girls FR Nono, Hua Ryun, and Smeller Dog, Cheriton Student David Langstaff, and Slayer Candidate SG. Huge thank you to all of you for your support, and huge thank you to all of you for watching. Thank you so much, and I'll see you all next time.